Hey guys, and welcome back to my 31 days of tarot, the challenge created by Ethony. Today is day 6 and we're talking about the deck that I have finally crossed off my wish list. I ummed and ahed about what one to choose or whether to show. There's 3 that really stand out for me. But it isn't plural, it does say deck. So being as I'm recording a lot of these on the fly, I thought I would keep it concise. The honourable mentions go to the medicine cards just for today, which I've already talked about, and I spoke about how excited I was about getting those in the walkthrough video that I've got on my channel. And the other one, which you lot haven't seen that I've got, but I am super excited about, is the Vampire Tarot by Robert M. Place. You did hear me correctly, I did manage to get my little hands on that deck in 2018, which is super cool. However, I kind of want to do a video about that. I haven't spent enough time with it yet either, and I must at some point do Tom Benjamin's tag that was decks that make me happy. So back to what I'm doing now, I decided to go for the gorgeous Starchild Tarot, and I am sure that you are all familiar with this deck. Now let's just have a look at the lusciousness really quickly. Oh my gosh. Despite having a lot of earthy decks and dark decks, obscure decks, animal decks, this is something that I find really visually appealing, just kind of on a superficial aesthetic level. And I wouldn't consider myself someone who fits into one genre or one stereotype anyway, so I like what I like and they don't fit into boxes. This has been on my wish list for probably 2 years easily, and I was umming and ahhing for ages because I was getting other people's insights and feedback, and that's both a really interesting thing. I love the YouTube videos, I love hearing about people's connections with decks, but what I found with this particular one is it's kind of like Marmite. People either love it or hate it. Not hate in such a strong word of the capacity, but it just didn't work for them. It kind of fell flat. They felt certain ways about it, and it was such a mixture that I kept going back and forth. I got stuck in my decision basically and became really indecisive, didn't want to commit to it just in case, especially as it's an indie deck. The bonus of waiting so long is that I actually got this from the UK, from Little Red Tarot, and when I initially was looking at it a couple of years ago, it would have cost me a small fortune to get it over here. It turns out I needed a deck that didn't depict physical pain so regularly, and one of the things that is sometimes considered a con and not a pro for this deck, not for me but from others, is the stillness of the characters. The very meditative poses and facial expressions. However, because I had a lot of physical pain and issues going on, as many of you know, I ended up keep picking cards that were depicting that visual pain, and it wasn't an issue in terms of the message, but seeing the visual outside of myself, in honesty, I got to a place where it started to kind of piss me off. And the reason being for that is, I don't know, when you already feel isolated with something and it's already a condition that maybe doesn't get enough awareness yet and things like that, I didn't really want to be continuously visually reminded, and that's when I bit the bullet on this deck. because I wasn't shying away from the elements of shadow that I was exploring, or any sort of emotional or psychological undertones that I was sort of drawing into my awareness. But I just didn't want to see those kind of pictures. And when I bit the bullet for this deck, I was elated. It is awesome. It has really surprised me. It's also reminded me how, whilst I enjoy taking other people's opinions in, how I can only truly know what a deck's going to be like when I have it in front of me. Obviously then, because I don't like to buy loads of decks, that does make it a bit difficult, because with an indie deck, it's kind of a lot to buy to then think, I don't like it. But it is the risk, I guess, we take with many decks. And I was like, okay, it's been 2 years of shall I, shan't I, shall I, shan't I? I had the money. I wanted to go a different route with my tarot reading for a while, and it was a really, really welcome change. I have since been working a bit more with a variety again, but I'm heavily working with this deck. And to be honest with you, because there's so much room to interpret with the cards, maybe because the poses are a little bit more like that, it's quite enjoyable in that capacity. Now again, I feel like I have to add the caveat that, of course, I can read cards without the artwork. It's not I don't require the artwork to know what the card means, but I am always one who will tell you that half of the reason that I have more than one tarot deck is because I enjoy reading art. It's something that I think adds a nuance to the readings and the vibe. And because I specifically choose decks that I'm drawn to and just follow my intuition in terms of that, I feel like I've chosen it for a particular reason. So why not allow that artwork to speak to me, as well as my intuition, as well as my pre-existing understanding of tarot and numerology and psychotherapy, psychology, etc. and so forth. I like to encompass all of that, but I do feel that I use the artwork, and so this deck has certainly brought something a bit different into my tarot collection. I had oracle decks that felt like that maybe, but not so much a tarot deck. That's all I'm going to say about that deck for now, and I'm sure that you will see this in tarot decks that I want to work more with in 2019, because I've had this one 2 months, and so we have lots of room to grow together and establish even more of an understanding of this deck. As always, let me know if you're doing this challenge. I am just reminding people that I am catching up mostly at the weekend, if I can grab a few people in between, but if I haven't commented on your video, and I usually do, that's the time when I'm trying to allocate. So I will be playing major catch up, massive binge watching of YouTube, either on a Saturday or a Sunday, and hopefully I will find some new people along the way as well. I'm really enjoying it, you guys. I'd love to hear your thoughts below as well about the deck or anything that I've discussed so far, and I will see you again tomorrow for our next day.